and thanks for viewing this video. I'm Shankar, and today I would like to showcase my project Socioguard, which is implemented part of Google's 5-day GenAI session. And first of all, I would like to thank Google and Kaggle for such a wonderful session, and that really helped me to jump into the GenAI's world uh, as a newbie who don't have any experience in AI, but learning things because of them. So without wasting time, I would like to start my demonstration from the uh, project description, and then followed by we'll be seeing use case, then the solution, how GenAI fixes that use case. Then we'll be seeing the architecture of the project, followed by code review and explaining what GenAI capabilities are used in that particular code. And part of end credits will be showcasing the limitations of the project and future implementations and closing notes. That's all. So let me share my screen and go into the Kaggle's notebook where I have kept everything about my project. So the project name is Socioguard, and online description would be GenAI for social media real-time post moderation. So, as I said earlier, I'm Shankar, the one who developed this particular project. And the AI capabilities we covered part of this particular project is structured output JSON mode or controlled generation. Every agent that we use in this particular project returns a structured output to another agent. So we'll be explaining in detail when it comes to code review how we achieve this particular thing, and then future prompting, uh, function calling, and like function calling happens in the agent where we'll be providing functions as a tool to the model and allowing model to access the tool and make appropriate actions based on the scenarios. And the agents, we implemented agents using LangGraph. And as usual, in order to utilize the RAG feature, we need embeddings and RAG, and followed by vector DB. So the problem and use case. So every second, the social media platforms are flooded with millions of posts, right? So while most of them are harmless, but few could potentially create a harm to the current generation who uses the social media, like threatening words, offensive statements, nudities, adult contents, everything. So all these things should be modernized, but doing it with traditional modernization approach like manual intervention or doing it via some traditional keyword-based text filters and some other traditional approaches cannot actually understand the post details and could eliminate those threats to the current generation who uses the social media. So as a developer, I implemented this particular project where it clearly helps to moderate such kind of texts from the social media and takes appropriate actions accordingly by itself based on the tools provided to that particular model. So social media platforms can contain multiple type of categorized text. For example, posts that related to life-threatening events, posts related to sensitive contents, posts related to toxic, posts that are related to hateful, and some can post offensively, some can post in adult stories, some can post scams and promotional statements. So everything should be handled carefully in this particular social media world and should be projected to the end user properly without spoiling them. So coming to the solution, we have implemented a fully automated GenAI pipeline that actually understands the text and tone of the statement and risk behind that particular statement. A statement in the sense the user post and organizational guidelines that supports that statement or declines that statement. Here's how it works usually, step by step. Let's go step by step here. When user submits a post, the system try to retrieve the guidelines uh, from its vector DB. In our case, we are using Chroma DB here. So using the user post, it try to retrieve some of the relevant guidelines to that particular post. And these two, the post and relevant guidelines are fed into the model. In our case, we are using Gemini Flash 2.0 version. And we'll try to uh, we'll ask that model to categorize that particular post and guidelines in one of these particular following, like you are seeing here, right? Life emergency, threat, harassment, offensive language, adult, sensitive, priority support, promotional content, spam, or normal. If any text are not coming under, if the text is completely normal, then that comes under normal. And if text contains promotional content, so model will detect such and that will categorize under promotional content. So once the categorization is done, then the model will try to analyze the post tone, the tone of the post, and the sentiment of the post, and the guidelines that it actually applied, and uh, a quick description of that particular guidelines, and then the hashtags that supports the post, automated hashtags we try to generate, the project try to generate, and the risk score, it calculates from zero point 0.0 to 1.0, how harmful the statement usually is. So upon identifying everything, categorize and all the below identified tags, it try to sanitize or normalize based on the category. Imagine if the post category comes under sensitive or offensive statement, then definitely we need to mask the statements, respective areas of the statement. If it is coming under a threatening and harmful, which is threat related things, then we should normalize the post by rephrasing the statements. So once the post is analyzed and categorized, it swiftly applies the exact actions. So here comes the modernization part. So based on the analysis and things that we calculated earlier, steps. Here, the LLM is provided with tools. The model is provided with a specific set of tools to take action against. The tools contain blocking the user or pushing the post to review or blocking the post and so on. So at high level, we can categorize all these actions under these following four categories. Critical. If the post is so critical, or the agent identify the post as a critical, then it blocks the user, it removes the post and sends the post for urgent review. If it is an high, then it blocks the post, temporarily blocks the user, which is which is maximum 10 minutes, and queue the post for review. So until the post is cleared from the review, the post won't be available for the user in this particular case. And for when it comes to the medium, uh, it blocks the user for temporarily, which is less than 10 minutes, and it show cleaned version like sanitized or normalized post with or without review based on the post category and based on the model decision. And finally, no block, it simply just escalates the post to respective team. In case of emergency, it simply pushes the post to emergency bucket. If it is security related threats, then it will be pushed to security review. If it is a normal uh, kind of misbehavior things, then it will push to review with priority box, where the priority box sets as small, medium, and high. So according to that, the posts are getting reviewed and actions are taken. So the system then, once the actions are done, output from that particular agent is fed to another agent. This agent basically try to understand what actions are applied, and it just rephrases the statements and it converts that particular actions into crisp detail where it will be displayed to our end users. So this entire app works as a real-time scenario. Like if a user is getting blocked, then user won't be allowed to post any other content with same user ID. So in this case, what happens, right? Sometimes user can get blocked due to some reasons, and due to such reasons, and immediately when the user faces some emergency situations, uh, user may face block issues, right? So in order to avoid such issues, app will allow only emergency and high priority post if the user, though the user gets blocked for some inappropriate actions. So all these things are handled as a uh, SQLite tables using flags. So whenever the post is getting displayed into the UI, all these flags are considered and properly displayed. So before going into the code level explanation, I would like to show you the architecture, and that would really help you to understand uh, how the application actually works. Okay. So here is the architecture diagram, which could potentially help you to understand quickly on the project. First, whenever the user posts, the post will be sent to gatekeeper, where the post is null. Kind of, this is more or like a validation phase, like whether the input all required fields are coming into the LLM, or non-empty fields, and username doesn't, or the user name is not null. So such quick validations are taken care part of gatekeeper. Once the gatekeeper clears the papers, and that will go into the insight engine. Here's where the post will be categorized and will processed for some more analysis. So in Insights Engine, we immediately try to retrieve the organization standards that are related to the post, and followed by send to the model. And model will try to identify the category of the post that we just saw earlier, like we see in the 10 categories, right? Life emergencies, threat, kind of. So it will try to identify any, it will try to sort this particular post into one category, and we try to access the risk. The scale is between 0.0 to 1.0. We try to identify the risk of the post, and it will try to mention the organization standard that are applicable to that particular post, and whose description, and followed by uh, the tone of the statement post, and the sentiment of the post, and it generates automated hashtags that supports that particular post. And once the insight engine is completed, this will be sent to sanitizer bot. Not directly. If the post category comes under any one of this particular category, then that will be sent to sanitization. If the post comes under harassment and threat, then that will be sent to normalization. If it is a normal and emergency, we don't sanitize it and we don't normalize it. We simply try to push it to justice node, where the actions are being taken. So, with respect to sanitization, right, we simply mask the bad words and sensitive content. And then, like, imagine if a user posting the spam messaging saying, click the link www dot the website, and the sanitizer will automatically takes care of masking that harmful link. If it is an adult, it will try to mask the some of the adult content that it says. When it comes to normalization, the harsh statement will be converted to softer tone, and that will be used in upcoming steps. So the sanitizer and normalizer, these both are actually an agent which is handled using few short prompt here. So as I said, if the post category comes under emergency and normal, then that will be go into the justice node, where uh, it will try to it will try to assess the risk score and category, and try to take any one of the action that we just earlier discussed, whether to block the user, temp block, or permanent block, whether to block the post, if it is blocking the post, whether the post should be removed or post should be waiting for clearance, if it is not a block or it's just a review to emergency service team or review team, or finally just an escalation to security team, or none. Everything will be decided under this justice node. This is another agent which takes care of all these particular things automatically. So once the actions are applied, then it will be going into the voice box where the output text from the justice node will be sent to voice box, and voice box responsibility is to understand what are all actions being applied part of our modernization, and it rephrases the user-friendly statement which explains clearly what actions applied and why it is applied, and then that is displayed to front end. So here ends our entire process. Let me show you some demo which clearly help you to understand what is input and what can be the output here. Okay, so let's take this particular statement or example. You can clearly see here uh, my user post is an input which will be in this particular string JSON format, username and post text. So my username, I have just used king one for my sample example, and the post text says oh and one bad word and what the hell is this? So when I try to pose when the user try to pose this particular sentence, we immediately try to analyze, and the output will say that what actions it takes. Just like here, taking one, your post is visible but has been flagged for offensive language, and it can do some professional fun also. And it's been escalated to review team with medium priority for second look. Play nice. And if you observe here, it identified that category as offensive language and risk is zero point 0.5, and it notified that the post has been sanitized. And my post here is oh, and then the bad words got masked, and then it continued, what the hell is this? And finally, you can see the tags that it generated, and review indicator that the post escalated to review team with medium priority. So this is how the end-to-end actually works, and this is the one sample that you could actually understand how the application is working. So without wasting time, let's jump into the code review, which will help you to understand how actually it is working based on architecture. So, sorry, let me get my webcam again. Okay. So if you observe here, my first cell is going to be installing required packages. I'm using Google Gemini, and I need LangGraph to orchestrate entire this agent process, and ChromaDB for vector, and tablet for my final presentation, how the post should be visible at the end. Just now we saw the image, right? That image is displayed using tablet. So that's why I need it additionally. Okay, once I install everything, I'll be importing all necessary packages that are required here. And retry logic, I need some retry logic in case of limit exceeding the limit of using the LLM, the free limit. And I'll be getting my secret from the Kaggle secret. And if you would like to access from the Google Colab, just comment first two and uncomment the second two. And your key should be available in GenAI in Colab. If you are using in Kaggle, you don't need to do anything, but just keep your key under Google API key. And I'm initializing the client here. And here comes the actual part. Uh, if you observe here, I have 4 to 5 agents working, and all need some structured output to understand what's going on. In order to maintain that structured output, I'm creating here enums with some specific values. If you observe here, my post category should be present under any one of the following. It cannot uh, go beyond. And my scale should be from 0.0 to 1.0, that I am actually restricting it using enum. And post category responses, this is the post category. This will be my that insights engine output, like it generates post category, risk scale, organization standard that it applied, organization standard applied description, post tone, post sentiment, and auto hashtags. And you could probably see here, post sentiment should be any one of the following: positive, neutral, negative, mixed. And Post tone should be excited, happy, claim, angry, sad, sarcastic, fearful, hope, informative, neutral, and so on. So, so we need these uh, enum classes and classes to get a structured output from the model agent models, and followed by model configuration. And I have created some configurations here based on method. I'll be fetching that. So each agent have its own configuration here. So I'll be just hitting the method and getting the configuration on the fly. If you observe here, you can actually see the response schema, which is responsible for giving me the structured output. And I'm setting the temperature as default 0.1 for all and top pre as 0.95, and maximum output token for my first agent can be 150, and all other agents I'm just restricting that or not considering that as is. So you could probably notice here the tools. So you need to pause, like if you consider that action applier node, right? The agent where the agent will be responsible for taking its own actions. So that actions will be possible via many approaches, but one approach is like giving them accessibility to the method tools. So these are all methods that I created below, and I'll be converting that methods as a tool, and I'll be giving the tool to the model so that model can use the tool and try to take appropriate actions accordingly on the fly. So going to the prompts, so I have so many prompts here. The first one for 5 agents, I have 5 prompts. The categorization, I've just given him what needs to do and what are all the output should look like, and some conditions. The one condition that I would like to highlight is the categorization has to happen always in this priority way. Like if the user are posting something, your post you compare that post with this particular order and fit in that post in any one of the order. So here the highest priority is given to life-threatening emergencies. And normalization is achieved by agents but via few short prompt. And sanitization is also achieved by agents with few short prompt that you could probably see here what I'm trying to say. And actions apply on rag zero short prompting. So these things you can we'll be discussing in upcoming slides. For now, just eliminate these things. And here comes the review action applied, uh, like the end, right? Where the voice box we just discussed, it takes entire output of the model that has done every action. It takes the output of that particular action model and it try to phrase the sentence that user can understand clearly, and it talks to the user. Okay, so that's all about the prompts. And when it comes to the organization guidelines for risk score, uh, here comes all my RAG documents. Like I'll be keeping everything here, like is pure sentences for each cases. For urgent request or situations, you try to uh, try to categorize your risk score based on the condition that I have given here. So one best example here I would like to show. Let's take the aggressive tone here. So if you see here, if the text includes aggressive phrases like "shut up," "leave me alone," "shut your mouth," "I can't stand you," those are considered as an aggressive tone as per the organization standard, and it will try to identify the risk category based on the risk pools that is already provided in the document. If the text contains highly aggressive or confidential, confrontational language, example harsh or multiple aggressive phrases, so the risk between 0.8 to 1.0. So we are clearly explaining the model what it has to do, what it should not do, and what it has to do. We are not saying what it should not do, but on what basis it has to take the risk scale that we are actually providing in our RAG document. Okay, so let's moving on. And here comes my Google embedding function. This is a pure function that actually I took it uh, from the course that I have heard in I think yeah, second day I think we were going through the Google embeddings and RAG. So there, in hands-on, Kaggle Notebook explained clearly. So I really liked this function class, how they are actually doing it. So just by modifying the key, I just simply got that code from there and here. And we are using here text embedding 004 for your information with configuration based on embedding task. If you are trying to add the document, you just make the embedding task to retrieval document, and then uh, the vector_db.add, and you pause your embeddings over there so that it will be automatically added into the vector_db. If you are trying to query it, change your embedding task to retrieval query, and following by when you and the object of your vector_db dot query, and you just pause the search string, and it will search string at the same time the number of instances or the number of relevant document that it needs to fetch, you need to mention. Based on that, it will be fetched to you. So long story short, here's where the Google embedding actually happens. And followed by here comes my database services, where all my existing table needs to create when the database service instance are created. So I have taken care that part uh, as part of create all required DBs, and that method is called during init method. And followed by I do have an insert user post and get post ID. So if the posts are good, then I'll be like by default, every post will be injected into the table, but displaying, not displaying, review, blocked, everything is handled with various different tables, so that the originality of the post will stay in our hand, but not displaying to the front end users. But the originality of the post is used for reviewing and taking appropriate actions in future in case. That's why. And we have the first tool here, block user, the method, where I have mentioned here in a comment what it does and what are all the arguments it need, because this is a good practice when you are trying to pause a function as a tool to the model, so that model will try to understand based on the initial comments that we put in our method's first line. So I've kept it. So this method accepts username, block duration, and is the user blocked for review or not. And followed by I do have another tool, add review entry. Uh, so here it simply specifies post ID. If it needs security team escalation, it just flags it. If it needs emergency, then emergency. If it needs review, it just review true or false. So this is another tool. And finally, the third tool that it usually takes is insert post visibility status. So it controls the post visibility to user or not. So it has three segments, like whether the post is blocked, which means if the post is blocked, then it is completely removed. It is considered as a removed. And if the post waits for clearance, so the post will be displayed, but content will be not. The content simply says that the review is in progress and it is waiting for clearance in our application. And is post visible? If the post is visible, then simply just flags the post as true, visibility to true. That's all. And we do have a method, is user allowed to post. So this method is responsible for taking care of temporary block and permanent block, based on temporary or permanent block, whether the user has to post or not. So let's say if the user is blocked for 10 minutes, and so every time whenever the same user post again, the code will come and check for this particular method and identify whether the user is allowed to post or not. If he is allowed, then based on temporary block, like let's say the user blocked for 10 minutes, and after 20 minutes if the user is trying to post something, then this method will returns true by removing the entry of the 10 particular temporary block user. If it is permanent block, then this particular method won't respect that, and it will still block the user for permanently until the review clears. And we do have some few methods here, and finally printing the database. So this particular class method is responsible for showing you the entire user post feeds. The one we just saw, right? Whenever the user uh, gives some input and it returns us the output response, at the same time the user feed gets updated with what value. So this particular method takes care of those things, and we do have some icons here appended for some good UI representation. And here comes the core, actual core part where you could probably see at very beginning we'll be initializing our ChromaDB, VectorDB, and then embedding function, database services, and we try to initialize the VectorDB and try to add the content in upcoming steps. In validate user post, it try to validate simply the all required fields are there, not null, everything is set, sorted, and then it allows the post to next step, where the method is set as get post category, where the those categorization what we saw in the architecture will be happening. It try to identify category, risk scale, standards apply, descriptions, post tone, sentiment, auto hashtag, everything, and followed by we do have normalize user post and to have sanitize user post methods. Basically, these two are agents again, and followed by take actions based on analysis. This guy is responsible for taking an action based on uh, all available resources, whether to block, dim block, permanent block, block the post, review the post, escalate the issue to emergency, whatever it is. This agent is completely responsible for taking that. And then uh, the final agent, which gets the output from actions applied model, and it try to understand what happened, and it try to categorize the data, or it try to rephrase the sentences that user can easily understand, and just put that into the UI screen for better understanding to the user. So all others are RAG and everything, and let's jump into the actual orchestration process using LangGraph. So I have given some smart names to each agents like gatekeeper, insights engine. You could actually compare these things with our architecture design that I just showed you. So gatekeeper validates, insights engine try to categorize the data and gets retrieve relevant information as much as possible. And sanitize, normalize, justice node is responsible for applying actions, and voice box is responsible for showcasing what actions applied and what happened. So, so here I'm just adding edges to the same, and only one thing that you have to observe here is the conditional edge, where if the category falls under any one of this segment, then that post will be sanitized. If the category falls under harassment and threat, that will be normalized as discussed in our architecture. If none, which is normal and emergency cases, it directly goes to the justice node. Okay. So, yeah, so once everything is set, in social media, I'll be just I'll be compiling the graph and taking that into a variable, and that variable is called and fed into the user input, and everything smartly handles. So you give input. For example, in this particular case, I've given the user king given posted. Hello everyone, I'm in India. Have what a heavenly land, and the post responses. Hey King, your post is visible. It looks like you're giving you free passes this time, but remember to keep your post clean and avoid. We're just giving some suggestion. We don't want to have to take action. Yeah, we're just giving some suggestion here, and you could probably notice here category. It is a normal category. Risk is point one. Original post and thought shared is uh, whatever the user shared, and followed by the hashtags that it generated by itself. Okay, so here's everything about the code review. So I hope you might have you could have understand some level of, or at least this could have given you some good idea on how the code is actually working in our application. So without delay, let's go to the limitations. Uh, Okay, so basically every application have its own limitations, but in our application, uh, LLMs can sometimes misjudge the context, uh, sarcasm versus the actual nuisances. So it sometimes can categorize the joke the person says, categorize the joke as an offensive statement and can take appropriate actions. And that is the first item. And second, the RAG relies on stored guidelines. So some kind of vague rules can actually spoil the system or confuse the model. And third, the high risk post like life emergency and priority support, right? So though the post context says that help is available, but still uh, models can actually prioritize that request with emergency request, like it escalates that such post to escalate to emergency request with high priority uh, rather than making it to medium or low. So such deviations are slightly there in this application. And finally, as everyone knows that a cost for real-time LLM could be a bottleneck at scaling these things at a very high level to make it work. And so my future considerations are something like I would like to make this particular model extend to multilingual, like not only it supports English, it should support other languages. At the same time, it should support uh, images, videos. Currently, it's text, so I need to enhance this particular thing beyond text. It has to identify contents that are uh, harmful contents from images, videos, memes, GIFs. So many things are there. I need to extend this. And yeah, for now, uh, these two extensions are considered. And uh, maybe I could actually tune furthermore to take actions, and I can enhance the action uh, availability to the LLMs. Like I can increase some more actions based on the risk score. It's not always going should be block, right? We can take some options like we can consider taking like warning the user or not allowing the user to post any content rather than posting content and trying to moderize it. We can actually avoid the user not to post such content. So all those things can be part of our future moderations. So finally, conclusion. So this is what my entire project, and I'm really thankful for Google and Kaggle for such a good session. Uh, I'm not even a beginner before that session, but after that GenAI 5-day session, I got such knowledge and I implemented this very good system. So thanks for that, and thanks for viewing this video, and meet you guys soon.